Welcome to the Grosseal Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. I call this meeting to order at 7:45 and ask everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess I should have stand for that. So, before we proceed with the rest of the meeting, I'd like to take a moment of silence for all of our friends and family and anyone that we know in France. Let them know that we are with them. Thank you. So we are all here today, so good job. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as presented? Hearing none.
Halloween.
Okay, yeah. Down there. Okay, anything else? I don't think that.
I think we could probably bike to school day planning off unless start discussing, but I haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
But if you want to start discussing it, we can keep it on.
It was just basically just to say maybe we should start thinking about it, so not too much. So I guess we can strike that. Anything else as far as additions or deletions? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second it.
Wally, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 7-0. Okay, approval of meeting minutes. Everyone have a chance to look over Al's thorough meeting minutes? They're pretty good.
Another word besides lazy ride, he said slow. A different wording. So make sure it's lazy ride. Consistent.
Sorry. I'll make it
It looks like it's another ride. Consistent. Lazy ride. Done.
I think there was some initials that was supposed to be for Bob Firmstone, but I think it said BJ rather than BF. That's something very minor. Hearing nothing else, can we get a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended? Jane? I'll second.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Seeing no one in the audience, I'm going to not open, or I guess I'll open public comment and then close it immediately unless there's somebody here that would like to speak for another person that's not in attendance today. Hearing that, close public comment and move on to old business. The Lazy Ride, Glow Roll, and Halloween Parade. Jane, you have the floor.
Okay. Lazy Ride, we're going to have our last one this Saturday, 10 o'clock, Macomb Lion, be there, be square. And I thought afterwards we can stop by to the bakery and have how cocoa they have it. Talk about it next year, hear feedback. Glow Roll was awesome. We had about 75 participants. Brian was there to help out. The weather was perfect. Warm. We biked, I think, 7 and 11 miles. And John Bergen from Rotary Club created a little bonfire, and people went to the Sharky restaurant, and I spoke to a waitress. And she said, "Oh, you guys are so friendly, it's so wonderful. Oh, we'll be happy to host again," but they're leaving. But Glower was awesome. I'm going to do it again next year. And Halloween, we had about half a dozen bikers, which was nice, and he followed us. And we just took our time, la 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 la, and then jumped off the bike and boom, the Halloween parade. So everything went really well. And my mom and her neighbor passed out safety Halloween and passed it out to people.
As far as Glow Roll, I know that the video that we put up there has been getting quite a bit of attention as well. I think it's seen reached over 3,000 people so far.
Great.
I heard that Rotary was looking to do some sort of bike ride as part of the Christmas parade, or the holiday parade.
They're talking about, but I can't make it.
Okay.
And I have not heard from John yet in terms of, okay, make a flyer. So I don't know anything about that yet.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments for Jane?
Thank you for doing it, Shane.
You're welcome.
Great job as always.
Keep up the good work.
It was a
You're
lot of
doing
fun.
a phenomenal
Brian,
job.
thanks for helping. I really enjoyed it. Hope all of you will join me next time.
Yeah.
Also, backtrack about the Halloween, about the glow stick. What I did was, for safety reasons, what I understand the principal was saying the glow stick. What we did is my mom and the neighbor passed out the little one, and I saved the glow sticks for the glow roll. And I lighted up the trail behind the senior citizen complex, and the tree and the trail. It was awesome.
That was something to see.
They're all huge. So thanks, PAT.
Cool. Moving on, I know that there's been lots of maintenance on the path as well as the bridges. Wally, is there anything to report, or are we finished with that?
All done. End of my report.
Great job also.
Not by me, but by the people that all work together to secure the description of the work and then to follow through and get it done. Special thanks to Mr. West Pfeiffer, the wonderful job he did on the bridges. And our asphalt contractor followed up and did a nice job. What do you think of the new sealant? The south end of the island looks pretty tough as far as I can see. Good. Not much to tell you other than now we're going to have to figure out a way to buy more bike path funds.
There you go.
That'll be later on the agenda. So I was hoping to get a fund balance from the township, but I didn't get an email, so as soon as I get that, I will forward it on.
I saw your request, and that's the reason I didn't ask her, so.
Sure, she's just busy, but if I don't hear from her soon, I will email her or call her to find out about that, so that it's just we know what we have left to work with for the beginning of next year. Okay, Welcome Center literature. Bob, I know you've made some inroads with MDOT.
Yes, I have. I've put an email out, and I even tried calling this gentleman. I'm just waiting for him to return an email or even call me back. But it's all a go. It's all. I've let him know that we don't want to put literature in all 14 welcome centers. We're interested in I-75 North, possibly the one in Dundee. And he needs to let me know the minimum brochures. And we'll just see how many people we get involved in this brochure. The one that Jane did, she's doing a phenomenal job with it. I would like to have, sometime in the near future, we've got a little while, a closed-door session, several of us get together and go over this brochure and see what we can put together and present this at the Welcome Center. But once they get to the Welcome Center, it's up to the Welcome Center's discretion to put it wherever they want. But if we go down to I-75 and the lady that's working there who happens to live in Gibraltar, we can put it into the biking part of it. We can put it into the kayaking part, southeastern Michigan, hiking trails, B&Bs. We can hit all the categories there. But if we can get a closed-door session in the near future to talk about what we want to put on this brochure, and if Jane wants to do it, I'm more willing to help her. If anybody wants to, we can all get something possible going with this.
Just for the sake of correction, you can't have a closed-door session.
Oh, I apologize.
Have a study session.
Well, let's have a nice study session. How's that? Thank you. Thank you, Wally.
The only thing I'd add is, send out another invitation to our folks over at the Open Space Committee to see if we can get some of the soft trails included within the.
Oh, I would love to have them come and join us on the session with this, and it would be great. Greenway, anybody that wants to get something out there and possibly on a brochure at one of our welcome centers, feel free to contact us, join us, and we'll see what we can get together.
Just so you know, I attended the last recreation meeting and talked about the possibility of putting things at the Welcome Center, and Mr. Conroy, who was a good friend of yours, Mr. Ping Pong.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
He is volunteered to be the liaison between us and Rec Department.
Okay.
I spoke to the folks at the Greenways Open Space, and they have a 16-page brochure, which lends itself. It's a nice, stiff brochure. That publicizes Grow Seal, and anybody else who wants to get involved in it should certainly come to the study session that we have to see if we can incorporate into our brochure some of their thoughts. I mean, if you have a bike ride that is sponsored by Kiwanis, then it should be in there on the calendar. The thing I did notice about the brochure, and you'll have to be careful with this, it cannot be political and it cannot be religious. So the Knights of Columbus emblem has to come out of it.
Okay.
So other than that, it's a nice.
Should we pick a date, or shall we?
It would be my suggestion that we don't hold a formal meeting in December, but we could, take the time to have a study session.
Sounds good.
What do you think? Now that meeting would be the third Tuesday, which is kind of before Christmas.
About the 15th?
Mm-hmm.
December 15th, we'll have a closed door session.
We'll just make it at 7:30, and let's spend an hour together brainstorming and putting it together.
Sounds good.
If anybody would like to join us from the Greenways or one of the other
Well,
organizations.
I'm liaison to them.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. We're good to go.
I don't know that, what I'll do, but
I know.
I promise you we'll talk.
This side of the room is pro the study session. I want to hear from the other side of the room. What do you guys think?
I think we should. Long overdue on a few issues, not just this one.
Okay. Great. Moving on.
Okay.
Last item.
I want to make sure I'm kind of missing out. Are you talking about having a study session before the normal meeting, or just a study session
Just a study session. We'll eliminate the
at
normal meeting.
7:30?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So the last item under old business is just a set aside time for if anyone has any more surveys that they want to present about. So last month I presented on my section of the path, which was Voight south to Ferry and included the horse mill path. I know, Bob, you've talked in the past about your section. I'm trying to remember who we have left that needs to speak, and is anyone ready to speak tonight?
Alan hasn't.
I've done a review of my section of the bike path. I'm finding that we are getting somewhat of a rollover problem in some areas along Grow. We knew about that already. Sealant has helped some of it. Of course, the drinking fountain has been removed for the season. It seems that they put some type of cap on it. I didn't see what that was, if it's a bucket or some type of, it's a bucket. I don't know if that's going to be the permanent winter solution for that, but at least it's protecting it. We looked at the bridges. They all look great. That was an easy section. The signage issue is pretty easy on my end simply because it's not oversigned. We have some simple, useful signs at the Grow Road crossing. They're not really signed for the same purpose. A lot of times we're seeing multiple signs for one purpose, and it always baffles me, but I don't have to worry about that at my end. We don't really have that problem. And the only other issue I had was our crossing lines. I would love to see the crosswalks have some reflective tape to indicate to the drivers that it is a crosswalk.
Okay.
A few other commissioners brought that up in their review also. I don't know if this is something we want to do all at once and maybe identify the areas we want and then have that done, but...
Why don't we just incorporate that in our study session for next year's work? Because next year we're going to be doing some more sealing.
Absolutely. The season is too late to put them down anyway.
We're going to first beg, and then we're going to seal, and then we're going to put crosswalks.
Well, my thoughts were that even if we put down now, it's going to take season abuse of snowplows on it, and people really aren't going to be walking that much in the wintertime. So it's probably better that we wait till springtime just to try to get the longest life out of them we can.
It's key to put them down when we're doing other construction projects. So as well as mentioned, in the spring, we'll have other work to do, but as well as when DPS might be doing something along the road. I know for tape as well as especially tape, if it goes down, when you have fresh pavement down, that it actually extends the life of that pavement considerably. I mean, extends the life of the tape considerably.
Does it adheres better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we can do that, I think maybe we just make sure we have everything itemized that we want to do and figure out when's the most appropriate time to do each of them. And thinking that certain sections are more critical than others.
Absolutely.
Well, the way the system works is we come and take a look at our paths, and we give our input to the township engineer. The township engineer translates it into work for our bidding process. So give your ideas, and we'll put them together, and we'll sit down with the engineer, and then we'll send it out for bids and see what this will all cost.
All right.
Yeah, well, two other short things that I noticed on the drinking fountain. I noticed that during the summer, when somebody stopped at the fountain using it, their bikes are left on the bike path, causing a traffic issue for people going past it. I would love to see a bike rack put there so you can get the bikes off the bike path if you stop to get off your bike. And I would like to also see have you seen the historical plaques placed throughout the island? I would like something like that placed there with an all-weather map on it, so if they do stop to get something to drink or their pet something to drink, they can look at the map if they're not familiar with the area and then acclimate themselves to where they're at on the path and where they can go. Mm-hmm. I think it would be, we take for granted that we know the path, but the people that are visiting could be guessing on, where to go, how far it is, and it would probably make it a lot easier on them. So I'd like to see one of those placed there.
Kind of a miniature bike path map?
Yes, absolutely. And
under a laminate or under a
absolutely. Something we can update. It's not permanent. Mm-hmm. We can update it. We can even put advertisements in it, our brochures, events coming up, and a newsletter, put it maybe on one side and the map on the other, and it's just another avenue for us to communicate with the public. But other than that, I think everything is in great shape at the south end. We didn't have any line of sight problems with people crossing. No overhang foliage that's interrupting anybody on a bike or walking. I know in other areas like along Macomb Street that's an issue, but at the Grow and South Point end of the path, it's not an issue. We don't really have any spots we have to address. So other than that, it's good to go.
That you mentioned about the trail map, because I was out on the Macomb Orchard Trail last month, and they have a great trailhead right in the downtown Richmond. And I'll pass my phone around so you can see some pictures of it. But they have a pavilion set up just like we have over at Macomb Commons, and they have a nice, basically plaque area that. It's got windows on either side and the hinge to open it up, so you can put up a map, you can put up advertisements, you can change news. I think that it could serve our purpose for our trailhead and information, but it could also be used as a community gathering spot to have other information. So I'll send that picture out later on. I apologize for the users at home. I just got it on my phone right now.
Right, and also having a second one at Macomb and Meridian would be a second one. It's not in my area, but I think that it would be great to have a second, I'm not even sure, information gazebo or whatever we want to designate it as, just a information center.
We have enough carpenters on the island. Maybe somebody would like to volunteer and build these little display things, and even one up around Horse Mill and Thoroughfare, where they would have that little cut right there, little information guide for the north end of the island. This is a good idea, Alan.
Why don't we bring this up in study session and discuss it further?
Now, speaking of the trail map, talking about, would it be strictly just bike path activities, or could be like marching band Saturday night? Would that be included too?
I think that that's something we can discuss at our study session, of course, size is going to limit what we can do with it, so all that has to be determined. So plant the seed in your mind, Jane, and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
You're usually the one that's so artistic with everything.
I think it's already
Let's do
sprouted.
it out.
All right.
Yep, it is.
Brian, may I just say one thing? Wally, you mentioned that we would take this to the township engineer, all of our findings. Is there a format that would be easiest for them? Because we've all kind of done our surveys and everyone seems to have a different style. Can they accept it like that, or is there a way we need to package it?
The guy that does this, he's been doing it for many years now, and he understands us, and he understands that he's going to see different editorial styles. But what we will do at a study session is we'll tighten up a bit, all right, just so that you say the bike path sign is too high in this intersection, and Alan might say at this intersection there is a bike path sign that is not quite high enough. We'll tighten it up, make it more concise, so that he can understand what we're talking about, and when we want to incorporate into a rough estimate. I remember his name, Bill Bettendorf. Bill's been with Rains for several years. He understands our systems, and we'll give him a one-page document that everybody will be comfortable with.
I think it should be easy enough
Whatever it
to.
takes.
Sorry, Wally. I think it should be easy enough to summarize some of the stuff. I know I went intersection by intersection, but a lot of times it was some of the same material. So it would be easy to summarize that and then fit it onto a one-page document like Wally's saying.
Before we close this, can I add something?
Sure, sir.
Should have covered it last month, but it got past me. I just want to say to everybody out there, we would really love your input on this. Northbound Meridian at Macomb, duration of the light there on the northbound traffic is 28 seconds. Off of Macomb, the light is 18 seconds. I'd like everybody's thoughts and ideas on making it a no right turn onto Macomb and a no right turn onto northbound Meridian when the light is red, just from the month, let's say from May 15th through October 15th, during the high pedestrian, high cycling area time of the year. It's just throwing it out there, and I'd like to see some input on this. And that's it right there with that one. Just a seasonal no right turn. I can't see having a no right turn in the wintertime. Nobody's on a bike. There's not that many pedestrians out there. But I time the light, and it's only 28 seconds on a northbound. So we're just talking 28 seconds for the light to change and 18 seconds off of Macomb. This is something we can talk about in the future.
We have our work cut out there.
We sure do.
We have some opposition to no right on red. So, salesmanship begins when the customer says no. So let's put it together. Let's sell it.
See what we can do here, but that's why I felt the time. Some people, I'm not going to sit there for a couple of minutes. 28 seconds and 18 seconds. Yeah.
I think it's something that we'd have to look at to see within the state or locally, is there laws like that where you have no right turn on red for a specific season. I'm not sure that that's the case. Generally, you see it for certain times of the day. Mm-hmm. But I think what I want to make sure we don't do is get so complicated that people are confused. Because I've seen signs where it'll be no turn on red Monday through Friday, and then it'll list probably like 5 or 6 different time frames, and then have different time frames for the weekends. So we want to be careful to make sure that our what we're be messaging is clear and that people will be able to abide by it. And I think that we definitely need to talk to our folks at the police, including Alan over here, to see it's something that's enforceable. Because I don't want to put up any signs if it's not going to be enforced.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, thank you.
I like on the turnpike where they have a sign that says, "Slow down, my daddy works here." And that's impact. People notice stuff like that. They're different, and slow down. Your son may be riding a bicycle here, you know. It's just, we have to work on that. I'm not saying that that's an idea for a sign. I'm just saying that the sentiment has to be bought.
I totally get what you're saying, because I mean, it might not even be a sign specifically, a regulatory sign. It might be some form of public outreach or education that you can get that exact same message, but just framing the debate. And
Somebody out there has got something like that. We need to find it.
Or just let everybody know you're not really waiting minutes, it's actually just seconds. It's what you call telling the public.
Pet peeve for me when it comes to traffic is I wish I had a nickel for every person that rolls through a stop sign around here. And I don't mean 1 mile an hour. The stop signs to them mean just take it on 4 wheels, not 2. And that's a problem at that intersection. Go watch over the morning on Church and Meridian. And people just making a right turn to go towards the toll bridge, they don't bother to stop. They're in a hurry.
the person that
Alan
stops.
needs to be there to help them to slow down.
We got a de facto return lane over there too that people don't stop at.
At any rate, enough of my pet peeves.
Likely good.
Okay, moving on, new business. This has been on something we've tabled a number of months now, but I wanted to bring up our 2015-2016 objectives. So back the earlier part of this year, we prepared a report for the township board, and we did our status of the objectives that we completed for the year of 2014 to 2015, and we did fairly well. I'm not going to talk about that specifically, but as part of that document, we listed out for the township board the things that we would want to be working on this year. So since we're roughly halfway through our fiscal year over here, or our working year, I will let us look over this and see what things what we've definitely hit, what things we might want to pursue next, and what's, I guess, a lower priority. We've finished work on the bridges, so we can check that off. Establish a multi-year plan for bike path restoration and reconstruction efforts. I think that's something that we should be looking at, and we're having a study session coming up, and Aaron and I have some other ideas, so I think we can accomplish that one fairly soon. User agreements for the pathways. This is something related to if we do have pathways that are not within the road right-of-way. I think it's probably a lower priority item, but something that we might want to revisit later on if we do have the time. Anyone else have any questions or comments on that one? Okay. Establish procedure when items require BPAC votes. I'm not sure if this is an item, a pressing item at the moment. Hearing nothing, I'll move on. Explore options for sidewalk gap filling programs and maintenance. I think that's something that as we move forward with the non-motorized plan that we can at least talk about, but it's going to be something that we have some ideas, but again, need to talk to EPS since they're responsible for sidewalks.
There will be strong pushback there. They're not responsible for sidewalks. You are in front of your own home. So if you got a cracked sidewalk, it's up to you to fix it. If you have a gap or an inch out of level, you have to fix it. That's the way that it works in Grosse Ile. So if you're going to DPS and expecting them to fix your sidewalks, they'll be happy to and charge you $95 a flag for it. So just go through that with both eyes open.
Yeah, I think the idea is to meet the spirit of filling the need to get, if there is some recurring issues with sidewalks that we've seen year after year, that they're not, they're in terrible shape. It's it's a hazard. Maybe we should be seeing about how do we get those fixed, or if we've been hearing about gaps within the sidewalk network where there's a lot that isn't filled. So there are ways that we can close some of those gaps. As far as who's specifically paying for it, I totally understand what you're saying, Wally, as far as the residents, but I'm just looking at, in the end of the day, the pedestrian doesn't care who pays for it. They just want to make sure it's complete, that it's safe.
Again, you are responsible for its condition, and if there is a liability issue, it falls on you. So be careful for what you wish. I don't have a problem with fixing sidewalks. Lorinda Beneteau many years ago was assigned a project to go through all the subdivisions, and I had to replace 4 flags in front of my house, and one of them I didn't agree with, and I asked her point blank, why do I have to replace that? And she said, because I said so. And that was Lorinda's answer at that time. But she knew me, and she was pulling my leg.
Yeah.
What it was is I thought it was more appropriate to replace the one next to it. But we got it fixed. We got it resolved. But again, if there are issues with sidewalk conditions, it is up to the individual homeowner to bring those to the attention. And if you want them fixed and you want somebody to fix them for you, I'm sure that somebody can do that. But expect to get an invoice. You'll agree to it.
Since we're talking about the sidewalks, I think, Wally, I sent you an email about it. I noticed that there was some sidewalk cracking on the Park Lane sidewalk. And I know that was recently put in within the last 10 years or so, and there were significant cracks in multiple blocks, and this is on the south side of the school. So if you're walking away from Park Lane towards Berkshire. And I just thought it'd be nice for someone to at least let the schools know that, hey, this is their sidewalk that they should be potentially repairing, and that it's a lot cheaper to go in and put some caulk or something now in order to make sure that the sidewalk is stabilized rather than having to pay for an entire slab later on. I don't know if anyone else has an opinion on that, or okay for one of us to let the board know. Maybe it's something we can talk to Collie about. What do you think?
Talk to Collie. We talked to Collie this year about anything.
No, not formally.
That's, about time. We've got a great person there. If you want to broach that subject with her, go right ahead. She'll listen to you. She'll take it up, and I'm betting she'll give you an answer, and no bets on the answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving down the list. Enhanced relationship with school district. Hey, funny that. We're talking about that next.
Cutting.
Can I ask a question about that? I'm a little naive. Is there a chain of command? Sometimes I feel like when we talk about going to the school board, it's going over the school's head, and that maybe they wouldn't do that kindly. I don't know, though. I mean, maybe that's not how it is. That's not the relationship.
That board is there to advise the school, right? And there are people on the board, just like there are people on this board, that are to advise the township. They have the same mechanism for liaison. They do it the same way. You probably didn't watch last township board meeting. I went on a tirade about volunteers. We have wonderful volunteers. I happen to think I chaired 2 committees of the best volunteers, and there are other people that would argue that. But it's the volunteers that get this stuff done. And when a good idea comes up and a consensus comes up and it's presented to the right people, it passes. When a consensus comes up and it's not a good idea, there's 6 people and I that have to sit up there and say to you, we are elected to represent this public that you are wanting to impose a millage on, or fix a sidewalk, or put up a right-hand turn, so whatever it is. And you have to convince those 7 people. Come up with a good idea, and you can convince them. So the way you start, if you have some issue with the school board, talk to one of your representatives. They were elected to listen to you. I happen to know Collie listens. She's a great person. Now, I don't know the rest of the folks there as well as I know her. This is the lady who you can get help from.
Help? Okay. Advise DPS and township engineer on bicycle and pedestrian treatments for upcoming road infrastructure projects in the spirit of the township's complete streets policy. I think that we've been talking with DPS, and we made mention about Church Road and several others, so I think we can safely say that we've met this objective. Create a BPAC calendar events. I've been doing that via Facebook page. I should say the Grosio Walks and Bikes Facebook page. So what was nice about doing it that way is that I was able to incorporate other organizations' events and advertise for them. So I think that's kind of working, and I'm, might be able to duplicate things on our website, but I'm wondering what everybody else feels. Is it a little too redundant to have multiple spots for that, or they feel comfortable with just putting it on Facebook for right now, or would we like to see an official calendar of events?
Well, not everybody have Facebook. Not everybody have internet after. So I have to think more primitive.
Okay. Partially achieved.
I would suggest to you that the possibility of the best way for us to reach people in Grosse Ile in 2016, GITV. We don't have a newspaper. We can talk all we want about Trenton Trib, which comes out once a month and maybe mentions something about our community. But if you can get the ability to make a PowerPoint presentation or a 5-minute film like Jane does, that is so powerful, and people watch it. Let's take advantage of the only reliable resource we have. We don't have a way to get things out to our public other than television now. Unless I'm missing something.
No, I think that's a valuable resource. What I like about it is that we create something for GITV. We can put it on Facebook, we can put it on YouTube, we can put it on Twitter, or the other. It's a multimedia platform.
I have no problem with you using it in several different places, but I think the place that you have the absolute best opportunity to penetrate is when mom's making mashed potatoes, watching television over the kitchen sink, It's if we put our activities, if we put other communities' activities on there, people will notice it. We don't have a way to run an ad in a newspaper. We don't have a way to have a newspaper go out once a week with an ad in it. Not anymore. Mm-hmm. This is the hand we've been dealt, folks. We've got to use it.
Well, you are familiar with Trenton Tribune? We can put a little advertising in there. I was kind of slacking I was slacking off for the last month. We can do better next year.
Show of hands, how many people read the last edition of the Trenton Tribune? Rest my case. How many people watched Grosse Ile TV this week for 15 seconds? Okay?
I got rid of cable, and I think a lot of my friends did too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people got rid of the newspaper too. So there's different ways that people can.
I think this might be a list to put on our planning or our study session.
Mm-hmm.
And
how are we going to get the word out?
Well, I think everybody, whatever their feeling is on this, they need to back it up with some data and then present it at our study session. I mean, we could talk about this for hours, but it's very important, and we need to talk about it. And I would like to make a motion to push this to our study session.
I'd accept that. My wife is sitting home and she misses me. Let's go.
We're close to being
Hi,
done
Sue.
here, sir. Don't worry. Rest assured. Non-motorized plan, we're working on it. And Aaron's going to have something to say about that in a minute. Draft version of the township official non-motorized plan. Same thing. Bike map for Channels Magazine. We've been doing that, so that's good. Participate in Bike to School Day, Island Fest. Yes, yes. consider participation in group ride events in coordination with other downriver communities. It's something that we can work towards, but haven't really done it too much yet. Consider language and timing of any millage proposal for bike ped projects. I think we can say that we're still working on that, and it would be a good...
I think we could say we better be working on that.
I say, so that's a good transition to the next item, which is a standing non-motorized plan committee, which I'll let Erin talk a little more about because that's her idea.
Sure. I was talking to Brian, and I think it would help to have a standing meeting maybe twice a month to talk about the non-motorized transportation plan. And I realized that that is a big commitment for everybody to make, and so I suggested that maybe Brian and I be the permanent members who would meet at every meeting, and then we would rotate each member of the commission who would come in and provide their ideas. And the reason it would be 3, I feel like with a smaller group we would get more done, and then you also wouldn't have a quorum then, so we wouldn't have to advertise it. It wouldn't be as formal, and then hopefully we would just get this done, because we've been talking about a non-motorized transportation plan for, well, since this commission was formed, and I think it's very important, and we've done a great job with a lot of our public events. I mean, mostly thanks to Jane. We've really been rolling on a lot of that, but this is one thing that we haven't done, and we just really need to get done. And if anybody has any other ideas, I mean, bring them forward, but this made sense to me.
Get that project finished so we can move on.
I think the problem we're having is that we're encompassing so many different things that we can't adequately address them without having dedicated study sessions or meetings to deal with individual issues we have, like the non-motorized plan, even bike maintenance schedule and planning. We need to dedicate ourselves specifically to these and get them behind us. It doesn't seem like we're doing that right now. And like you say, Aaron, unless we step up and do this, we just keep postponing this. I think it's important, even on my PAC study, the non-motorized plan was very important, and we have not included that yet. So we're kind of in a stall there, too. So it's started to affect other things that we're working on, and we really need to address this.
Yeah, the PAC, if you're going to apply again for next year, it'll be like due around May, June.
It goes back July 15th is when I
Okay.
have to have it completed. I haven't redone it this year simply because we had nothing to add to it. The non-motorized plan would be another asset that we would add to it. So if it is available and completed, then we'll step up to the PAC for next year.
So that'd be a good goal. Maybe we can look into doing it hardcore, focus on it in early 2016, and then Ellen can finish her job, and you can do that.
And if meeting in person is too much, twice a month, I do have a conference call number that if people can only break away for a couple minutes or something, can't meet a house, we can utilize that and have a quick check-in to see how things are going. Because I think, we'll have the meetings. I think it's a lot of work going to be happening on the individual basis after the meeting is over. So it'd be a good chance just to check in and keep us on task. I work better when I have deadlines. Great. Sounds like we are in consensus about that. So,
What deadline would that be?
what's that?
Deadline. Should we pick up a date? That will push off. What deadline can we use? May? I'm good with deadline, though.
Mm-hmm.
I would need probably by June 15th for the PAC information. If we can complete it by then it will give me 30 days to complete the PAC application.
Okay. It's the end of May. I have a question about that. With the PAC schedule, it needs to be an adopted non-motorized plan, I'm assuming? Because we need to take this to the township board.
Absolutely. Just like the...
build that in as well.
Right, just like the what we did with the PAC. I'm losing my mind. here. The smart streets. We had to get
Complete
that.
streets.
I'm sorry, complete streets. We had to get that approved and accepted, and I'm sure we're going to have to follow the same process for this.
Okay. So, tentatively right now, let's try to get done by the end of April. And that way we've got at least a month to talk with the township board about it and see if we can get it fully adopted by either in May or June. And that way we could potentially have that done for PAC. Move into reports and closing. I know that there's a Thanksgiving Day run coming up, put on by St. James Church. The cost for participating is a donation. There's more information on Grosio Walks and Bikes. I took a snapshot of the flyer that I saw over at Centennial Farm. Is there any other upcoming rides or runs to publicize other than the Lazy Ride, which we already talked about?
I looked into it too late. Tomorrow night, hang drive, the Christmas light. I think they're stopping over 1,500 bikers. The registration is closed. But it's tomorrow night, so maybe look into it next year.
That's cool.
I showed this to Bob before the session. We participated in Verdure, and got a beautiful letter back from the university thanking us. It starts out with, to us, "It was awesome." So that's the first 3 words in the letter.
Wow.
So I think we're in good shape there. They expect next year's event to be bigger than this year's, and it's going to be on August 20th. We're going to do the same thing again. Hot dogs in the park and Verdure, all right? Let's.
August 20th.
So if you want to tie in other runs, that's a major run because it is involving more than just Grosio. It's involving a lot of Southeast Michigan and beyond. And I think that we could parlay some of the Wayne State stuff into mentions of Grosio on their promotional scheme. If you've been on the website, you'll see several Verdure 15-second and 30-second promotional things. So why not? I've got a picture of Grosio's bridge and 75 bicyclists coming across it at 15 miles an hour. How neat.
August 20th?
August 20th.
Okay.
Forward to it again.
Township Liaisons Report. Wally, is there anything else we need to know about?
Sure. Anybody need to take a break? I have a half hour's worth. But I'll condense it. Just for information, folks, negotiations are still continuing on placing a restaurant in the Water's Edge facility. It's not complete yet. Stay tuned. For those of you who are interested in what Greenways Open Space does, Soft Paths, they are not having a meeting next month, but they are having a luncheon, and it's a Dutch treat sort of a thing. It's going to be at Perdino's. If you're interested, you're certainly welcome. Come see me and get your dates and times. We are celebrating in that commission the Fit Strip. It is done. The strip down by Meridian is 99% complete. And I happened to walk it last Saturday. It is just gorgeous back there. As much as we enjoy riding down a hard path through the woods, try it walking in a south path. Grosio Walks and Bikes is kind of where we're at. And so I will shamelessly promote them to you and to the people out here as I shamelessly promote the bike path to everybody else. Speaking of bike paths and shameless things, I sat at a township board meeting and then I had some further conversations regarding our ice rink. Who's seen the ice rink down at Water's Edge? There is a world-class ice rink there. And it's underpublicized. It's underused. It came in very late last year. There was not an effort to publicize it much this summer because Brandy and the Recreation Department has had their hands full with that building fire. But it's coming into ice season now. A couple of things I want you to know. I've adopted it. We owe $38,000 to pay for the rest of that rink's dasher boards. And so I'm going to be involved in several challenges, several fundraising events to come up with that $38,000. I would like your sympathetic support, because walking on skates is something I cannot do. I have a hard time walking on shoes. But, I think that this is an opportunity for us to further our information, because we do have this great emphasis on outdoor physical activity, on foot or on bike, and skates is on foot. Can I count on you guys to be supporters? Can I expect that you'll speak it up a little bit? We have an event coming up in January, which is going to be an inaugural thing. It's just a $5 come on in, and we'll have hot dogs and chili and just have a great bonfire, and everybody can go out and skate in the rink. And we also have planned a fundraiser, a golf outing in June. And there's going to be some special guests at that golf outing, and I'm not telling you who, but they stand on skates this time of the year. So, that's all I'll tell you. All right. So there's a lot coming in the township. The township's alive with activity. Our big challenge is getting that word out. We're going to work on GITV. We're going to work on presenting it at other commissions and committees. Trenton Trib will probably have something in it, and I didn't mean to demean Trenton Trib, but it's just not our paper. All right? We'll take every advertisement we can get. We've got to do some more.
What?
So I have a challenge, and I hope to get your help to speak it up so that you can help me raise it $1 or $5 or $10 or $125 at a golf foursome, whatever it takes. Let's get this thing paid, but let's let our kids use it.
Sounds good.
Oh, look at it. It is sharp as tacks.
It is a state-of-the-art hockey rink, and they did a really nice job with it. And we'll get the word out on that one.
The people that are
Absolutely.
working on it, Carl Moore was our Citizen of the Year this last year. I expect great things from Carl. Carl is a semi-pro hockey player. He knows how to take care of the rink. Again, now that we have people that are getting the reassembly portion of this building and replacing all of the assets that we lost in that fire, it probably will give a little bit more time to promote this too. But come on, we need full court press. Everybody's got to go after helping me get $38,000 somehow, some way. If you think bricks were tough, look out.
Paul, you said you wouldn't say that word.
That's a 5-letter word tonight.
Thank you, sir. I'll keep my
I'll
item,
shut up now.
and I will be very quick. DNR just released an announcement that they're accepting applications for the Iron Bell Trail. They're like planning grants. I will send that email out to everybody. It just came out today. But basically, they did it last year, and I know the Downriver Linked Greenways was one of the applicants that was awarded, and they were performing a gap study. Got word from Anita Twardesky of Downriver Linked Greenways that Groseal was included in this gap study. I don't know exactly what's inside of it yet, but I will let you guys know as soon as I do. Other item I thought was very interesting is that the city of Grand Rapids, they've been doing a lot of bicycle and pedestrian planning, specifically bicycle and pedestrian safety planning. They received a grant a few years back, Transportation Enhancements Grant, and they have a plan that they've been developing, but they're also looking at public outreach materials that will be able to be utilized by other communities across Michigan as well as across the nation, because it was utilizing federal funds. So we might be able to use some of those materials for a Right Turn on Red campaign or sharing the road. But the other item that they just recently did is the city passed a passing ordinance. So if you're not familiar with it, a lot of bicycle organizations across the nation had been lobbying, generally at the state level, to have a traffic ordinance saying that motor vehicles need to provide a safe passing distance between the motor vehicle and the bicyclist. So it's basically you're not shoving the bicyclist off the roadway as you're passing through. A lot of states have done a 3-foot passing rule. Well, they set the bar higher in Grand Rapids and they passed a 5-foot passing rule. And the hope and logic behind it, and the hope is that they think that the state of Michigan will thus pass a 5-foot passing rule. Just something to be, thinking about. I'm suggesting that we move forward with it, but it's kind of cool and hopefully there'll be new data out shortly to find out if they're enforcing it, if it's actually having an impact in that community. With that, I will shut up.
I got to say, though, the citizens on Grosse Hill, they move over quite a bit here.
They do.
Kudos to these people that live here. When I'm on the bike, if I'm on East River, not often I go on West River, but they move right over. Thank you.
So, yeah, Jane.
He mentioned about the staff trail. I went there today. It's very nice. It's just like a loop. And I biked, downshift, one up, bike. It was a nice workout. I don't recommend lazy ride there. Nice.
Tires are too skinny for that. But,
Wally, I've been asked, you got any idea how many yards of chips have been put in there? I mean, there's a lot.
I have told everybody that Cliff laid every one of those 5-gallon pail at a time. But when you put down a trail like that, it takes a little while for that trail to get hard. Mm-hmm. It will settle and harden, and it will be easier to ride. But you're not going to take an English racing bike out on that.
Thank you, everyone.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Wally's got it. Who's got the second?
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Close at 8:43.
Happy Thanksgiving to all.
Yes. And walk, bike, and drive safe.